Hello, hello. I see people are joining in from everywhere. Seeing some familiar names. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session. We are excited to have you. Awesome. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being a part of this. We are excited to have you. Today is a really amazing session. We are having this is our first workshop. We had a kickoff event 2 weeks ago, and today we're having our first workshop. We're hoping that these sessions are valuable for you as we continue to help you build your personal brand to land your dream job. My name is Inkechi, and I will be your host today. And I have an amazing speaker or amazing facilitator with me, Sheila. When she comes on, she'll give you a bit more intro about herself. But I'm particularly excited about this session. I've seen what she has prepared, and it's one of those things that not only would you learn, but you would see practical things that you can start implementing right away and start seeing results. And for me, that's the most effective thing because it's one thing to read, so another thing to actually implement it. So this is going to be very practical for you. So I'm excited about that. This is Parity's professional network. We launched the network just earlier in the month. And just a bit about Parity if you're not aware already. Parity is basically an organization that is set up to help people in the African tech ecosystem connect to great opportunities. When we started out, we're helping companies to be able to access funding, and we created a talent marketplace that connects companies that are looking for high value professionals to those high value professionals. And we've been doing this for over 2 years, and we've seen really amazing results, helped lots of companies, helped place over like hundreds of candidates. And this is something that we just want to keep deepening our support for the talent ecosystem by providing means for them to build themselves, position themselves better, and land jobs that are beyond even Africa. So for us, in launching this community, it was a step in that direction. And we're grateful for all the people that, are on this journey with us, for participating, sharing your feedback. The people that are on Slack, we are just super grateful. Now, this session is going to be practical and we want you to participate. So use the comments. There is a comment feature, a chat feature at the bottom. So even as Sheila is going through what she's prepared, feel free to share comments. If anything resonates with you, share. If you have questions, share. Just be participate. In the end, you get what you put into it, right? So without further ado, I want to hand it off to Sheila. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Nkechi, and thank you for the invitation to lead this session today, and also thank you for all of you who are able to make it to this session. I'm seeing some familiar names that have interacted with Parity before, so it's a pleasure to see you guys attending this session as well, and looking forward to a productive session at the end of this. Um, Without much further ado, let me just share my screen and we can go through what we have prepared for you guys today. Ketchel, good?
Yes, I can see it.
Great. So the subject for today's session is building your personal brand to land your dream job, and how to position yourself for your dream job. So a lot of you here, you are probably interacting with Parity because you're looking for a job, or you are looking to place someone in your network for a job. So this session should really work towards, assisting you on how to place yourself to your future employers moving forward. So a couple of things that we're going to cover during this session. We are going to go through introduction to personal branding, cover the key elements of a strong personal brand, some tips and best practices from a recruiter's perspective. And we are also going to have hands-on exercises and your go-to action plan after this session, and things that you can start working towards immediately once we are done in the near future. Um, Great. So a little bit about myself. Some of you may already know me, but for those who don't know me, my name is Sheila Wandera. I'm a senior talent analyst at Parity, and I've been in the recruitment space for around 6 years now, working with the various startups and corporates across not just Africa, but beyond. I have worked in markets in the US. I've worked with clients based in Europe and the Middle East and so on and so forth. So I'm hoping that my years of experience and the various markets that I've been in will be of use to you guys going through this session. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about myself. Feel free to post any comments that you have or any questions that you have, even if it's about myself, in the comment section, and we'll go through that later on. Great, so let's get started with the session. So what is personal branding? And I'm just going to pause here to get some of your answers before we go through the next slide. In your opinion or from your experience, what is personal branding? And catch you for this, we can just pick, the two top comments to go over, and then we can proceed with the next slide.
You can share in the comments, but as they are sharing, you can, continue the session and then highlight a few of the
Sure.
responses that come in.
Great. So basically personal branding from the general definition of it is how you would present yourself professionally to the world, and it's your unique value proposition that would otherwise distinguish you from a highly competitive market at the moment. So why does personal branding matter, especially in this market right now? One of the things that you may have noticed is once you are able to craft or rather define what makes you unique, it differentiates you from the rest of the competition. And right now, there's very stiff competition. A lot of people are out here looking for new opportunities, and the market is flooded with a lot of talent. So how are you going to differentiate yourself from this talent so that you are able to stand out? And this is why personal branding matters. And it helps you, once you're able to differentiate yourself, you're able to increase your visibility to the ideal employer that you're looking for. And once you're able to do this, once again, this is a trickle-down effect. It builds credibility and trust in your skills. So most employers would like to see someone who's proactive and someone that's, generally revered for certain opinions or thought leadership in the market. So once you're able to differentiate and you put yourself out there, it builds credibility and trust in your skills, and therefore it attracts opportunities from the right the right companies. Kechi, I'm just going to pause here and see if we had any top comments on the definition of
We
personal
we
branding.
had some amazing, amazing responses. I think I'm going to read a few of them out. Edwin says that personal
Sure.
branding is positioning yourself to be noticed. I think that's beautiful. Evelyn said
Mhm.
personal branding is what identifies me when my name is mentioned. That is what comes to mind. I think that's so amazing. Cornelia said how one packages themselves professionally. I like that. Fumilayo says personal branding is positioning yourself online to reflect your personal interest professionally. I think it shows that a lot of people have very amazing foundational ideas. These are really, really great responses.
Yeah, amazing. It's really good that you guys already have an idea going into this about what that looks like. I hope you're also practicing it in your day-to-day life career-wise, but otherwise, yeah, very good responses. And we have we can have like use different words to define what it means, but at the end of the day, it's a differentiator. That's the core basis of what personal branding is. It's unique core differentiator. So going to go to the next slide. So these are the key elements that will make up your personal brand. Ideally, you would be looking at someone who's authentic, someone who's consistent in their branding, and the value that you're going to bring to other people who are consuming your brand. What value are you bringing to their lives, to their careers, and all of that? I'm just going to pause here and see if any other people have ideas about, some of the things that would make up a personal brand. And you can just put it in the comments and then we'll read it later on. So how do you go about, now you've identified what personal branding is, what are the key elements that make up a personal brand, and why does personal branding matter? And once you've already covered all these three things, now you want to go about, building your personal brand. And again, feel free to put this in the comment section. What are some of the tips from your experiences and best practices that you've learned before about, going about building your own personal brand? From our perspective, these are the things that we feel that you need to answer first before you can craft your own your roadmap to your own personal branding. So first things first, your personal story. What is it about you that makes you unique? What are some of your passions, some of your values, things that are important for you? And you really need to figure this out for yourself, because no one is going to tell you this for yourself. No one is going to figure this out for you. You need to figure it out for yourself. What are your values? And this is something that drives, even the choice of companies that you apply for and that you go for. And also these factors in how long you're going to stay in that organization. So if your values and that company's values don't align, then definitely it's not going to work out long term. So these are things that you need to figure out first before you approach any opportunity. What are your career goals? What are you looking to do in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years? These are things, this is a roadmap that you need to have crafted before you even start, your job search process. And some of you might have received similar questions during your interview sessions. They want to hear about your short-term plans. They want to hear about your long-term plans. So these are things that you need to figure out before you start putting yourself out there. The other thing that you need to go through is your professional skills. What are your core competencies at the moment? What are the tools? And this could be, computer software applications, or it could be manual skills as well. What are the things that you are comfortable with at the moment? And also put this against your career goals, your professional skills, and where you're seeking to be in 5 or in 3 to 5 years, and then find the gaps in there and upskill yourself so that you're able to get to the opportunity that you would like to have in the future. Another thing you need to figure out is your soft skills. So a lot of companies are very big on soft skills at the moment, because someone can have the right technical skills, but once they lack these soft skills, it really matters a lot in team culture, in company culture, how you interact, with your colleagues. A lot of roles would usually be cross-functional, where you need to collaborate with people from other teams, and soft skills play a big part of this type of interaction. So this is something that you also need to figure out. Am I comfortable, when someone speaks to me like this, how would I react? And this is why you see there's a lot of personality tests that are taking place at the moment in the market. When you apply for jobs, you get like the first step being a test gorilla, or there's another one called Brick, a tool called Brick that does the personality test. So these are things you need to figure out fast, because they will be tested throughout the hiring process. Another thing you need to figure out is your online presence. So I know some of you are probably introverts and you would feel nervous putting yourself out there, but in this competitive job market, it's really important that you pull all the stops. Anything that can help you get ahead of the crowd will be useful to you. So you need to find the courage in you. Try out if you are in a customer facing type of role, maybe you have a website or a portfolio. This is usually applicable to people in the tech space. People who do UI, UX, software engineering. A lot of them would usually have a website or a portfolio, showing their previous works and collaboration with other people. Also, your social media profiles go a long way in assisting with this. For most people, it would usually just be a LinkedIn page. But for others, if you're in the digital marketing space, your potential employer might want to look at your Instagram, your Twitter or your TikTok account, depending on the industry that you're in. But for most careers, it's usually on LinkedIn. So try and standardize your LinkedIn page. And we're going to discuss this later on, so we can cover this in detail later. So the last thing on this slide will be, your professional email. So I know we've seen some emails, that will have, this really like weird characters. It's not really like your name, or maybe it's like a combination of your name and some numbers, or just, something unrelated to your name at all. So you really need to figure out, try and get something that, aligns with your name. And if your unique if your name is taken by someone else, try and figure out, like put maybe some numbers at the end of it, but it should be clear to whoever is looking on the other side that this email correlates to this CV that we've received. So try and get a professional email and a professional email signature. For those who have interacted with Parity before, you've probably seen how our emails, the email signatures look like. So you can take a copy. You can use that as a standard to begin with. But yeah, we can cover this later on. And then the other thing is networking. So again, for the introverts, I know this is somewhere you probably feel nervous about, having to go put yourself out there and go to events where literally know no one. But again, this is something that really puts you in the same space with your future employers, or someone who's going to connect you with your future employer. So whenever you see this event, and most of them these days will be like a paid event. So you have to think about it from a perspective of, I am investing in my future career. So this is something that you have to put as a plan in place, and map out all the events that are happening within your region. If probably, when you see the posters and the advertisements, there's probably going to be a list of the hosts and people who are going to attend and the companies that are going to be there. So have a look if the people that are going to be in attendance correlates with the industries or the companies that you'd like to interact with, and then make a point to attend such events. And another thing will be joining professional organizations. So there's a lot of groups either on LinkedIn that are specific to certain industries. So you have to go out and look at those at those groups and find out a way to join those organizations. They would usually post available job opportunities within your space, within your sector, that is, and also like events that are happening where you can also connect with people who've established themselves in those industries. And the final thing would be continuous learning. How do you stay up to date on industry trends? And some of the things that we previously covered would go into this, networking with people, and also joining professional organizations, attending, various webinars. These are things that keep you up to date on industry trends. Taking courses and certifications. There are free and paid courses depending on how your pocket looks like, and industry-specific publications. So I'm just going to pause there and see if there are any other comments that we should touch on, Kechi, before I proceed to the next slide.
Cool. There's some very cool interactions happening in the chats. And you guys need to get more in the chats and share ideas and comments. So Fumilaya had said that it's quite interesting that email should reflect personal branding too. And I think lots of people miss that one. Like it's such a low hanging fruit, but yet a lot of people just miss that. And she had also said what makes a personal brand is also personal interest, career journey, skills, personal experience that makes you stand out in what you're doing. I love it. Fumilayo is super engaged. This is really, really amazing. So keep the comments and the chats going, and we'll be checking it from time to time to see what you're thinking, to see your comments, even answer some of the questions that you have.
Great. I'll move over to the next slide. So some of the things that you should be doing, a summary of what we've already discussed. First of all, keep your LinkedIn profiles updated and professional. This goes a long way in your personal branding. Some of you, from a recruiter's perspective, we will go through your LinkedIn and your CV, and the information doesn't match. And once that discrepancy has been spotted by the hiring manager, it's a red flag for them. Why haven't you updated? What are you seeking to hide? And most of the time we receive a lot of applications whereby we need to make a decision fast, and you probably won't get the opportunity to get a fast interview to clarify further, like why that hasn't happened. So a fast impression is very, very important for the person reviewing your application on the other end. Make sure that the CV that you'll be submitting and your LinkedIn page are matching for a good fast impression. Another thing is connecting with people in your industry. Again, this goes hand in hand with visibility, making sure that you are standing out. And sometimes some people will look at the people who are connected with you to try and find some common link, sort of like a referral thread, if that makes sense. So try and connect with people in your industry, both in person through events or over on LinkedIn as well. Interact with their content as you share yours as well. We have that on point number 4, that is sharing thought leadership content. When people post things on LinkedIn, if you see something that stands out to you, a content, don't just go there and share like the generic, this is insightful, this is brilliant, this is great. Share why you think that is great from your unique point of view. If you also feel comfortable, you can share your own generated content. And I know we have a lot of AI tools to assist with this content generation at the moment. A lot of this, it's easy to spot if it's not like your unique view on that subject. It's really easy to spot. So try and, as much as AI tools are here to assist us, you need to put some unique attributes to the content that you're putting out there. So try and, alter the content to fit your own point of view. Another thing, joining the relevant groups specific to your industry, and also engaging with people in your industry, again, both in person and via their various social media platforms. And the most important thing of all of this, monitoring and managing your digital footprint. I cannot hesitate enough on this point. A lot of people would, right now we have a lot of social media tools, a lot of content that we relate with out there. And sometimes we make the, it's a free world at the moment. And a lot of people will tend to, just post exactly what you're feeling, which is a good thing. But also you need to look at this from the point of view of your future employer. And you need to be conscious of what you're putting out there and the image of you that you like to be there, especially on professional sites such as LinkedIn. I'm seeing a lot of comments coming through. I know this is a hot topic for many of us in this session. So I'm going to pause here and have Kechi read some of the top comments that are coming through before we go to the next session.
Awesome. There's actually a question that um, Everest has asked, and I think I understand it. He says, "What do you do when the hiring manager requires a very short resume that would originally mean you leave out some of the details from your LinkedIn profile? Then how would you then reconcile that disparity?"
Good question. Um, Most of them would ideally look at, maximum of three, depending on your level of experience. For senior leadership, that's when we expect, C-suite level type of profiles. That's when we would expect you have more than three pages because you've been working probably for 15 to 20 plus years. So in the case where you haven't been working for a long time and you are between, entry level to management, entry management level, if that makes sense, 5, 6 years of experience, then at least 2 pages maximum, three if you're going too far, but 2 pages maximum. And how you go about this is you pick out the key, 3 key tasks. And this is not administrative tasks. This is, the things that if you were not able to do, you wouldn't be doing your job. So try and summarize those 3 tasks into 3 bullet points. And then below that, you can add in your achievements. Metrics are always the best way to go in selling yourself to your potential employer, because they want to see in each role, how did you improve how did you work towards improving the revenue of that organization. So this is for every role that you've worked at. And keep it also at around, three bullet points for the most relevant achievements that you have had in your career. And then for the rest, you can speak up for it during the interview session. So this, this process or this strategy should ideally lessen the content of your resume. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And there's another question here, but before we even get into that, you mentioned a very important point, and I think maybe we need to plan a whole session on like resume and the likes. But you mentioned numbers. I think a lot of people miss out on numbers in their. Can you just tell us a bit more about?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Kechi?
Yeah, you had mentioned numbers and stats in resume, and I feel a lot of people miss out on showing those kinds of key metrics. So can you just like reiterate that a little bit more?
Yeah, when I say numbers, I mean metrics. What were you able to do in your first 6 months in that job? What were you able to do in your first year in that job? Or, it could be just you've been there for 5 years. In the 5 years that you've been in that position, what have you been able to do? What processes have you been improved? And how did it go towards improving the company revenue? For salespeople, really, if you are in a sales or marketing role, numbers is very, very important because it drives the revenue of the organization. So any sales or marketing profile that does not have the metrics of how they improved revenue, then it's a very weak resume, and it's going to be rejected from a first look. So when I say numbers, I mean like the percentages of process improvement and how that worked towards improving the revenue of the organization. I hope that's clear now.
Yes, it is. And we're doing an exercise on unique value proposition that is on Slack that you even see more details on that. So there's a question from Vinu. He said, should we have to modify our CV each and every time according to the job description? This is an interesting question.
And I know we get lazy a bit when you're applying to 100 jobs in one day, But again, this goes again with your personal branding. So once you've identified the things you want to do, you won't need to be constantly doing this over and over again. So you only need to tweak a little few things. The mistake that a lot of people make when they're in their job search process, you're just in the market, you have no direction of what you're looking for. Hence, you are applying for everything and anything that comes your way. That means you need to be constantly changing your CV to match those very different very like very separate with no correlation type of jobs. In this scenario, then you constantly keep re-editing and adjusting your CV, and it takes a lot of time from your end as well. So you need to figure out, this is the career I've chosen. This is the field that I want to go to. This is the market that speaks to me. And once you have that figured out, say, for example, you only want to deal with back-end engineering roles, then it becomes easier. You already know the tools that you're working with. These are the tools I'm comfortable with. These are the ones that I'm practicing in my own free time. So probably if I'm called to do like a test on it, I can speak confidently on it, or semi-confidently, depending on your level of skills. Once you have all of this figured out, there's only little changes that you need to do for each position that you're applying, because it's literally in the same field. You're a backend engineer. We're always going to be looking for a backend engineer. The things that maybe you need to look at, I mean, the tools will always remain the same with some little adjustments. If it's, for example, Node.js, it's always going to be Node.js, yeah? So if that's what the company is asking for, and that's the type of skill set that you possess, then you don't need to re-edit it again. I hope this makes sense. Okay, I'm going to pause
Yes,
and see if there's a follow-up comment on that. Yeah.
there's another question, but I think you can carry on, and then we'll take more questions at another stop point.
Okay. Great. So we are moving on to the hands-on exercise part of this webinar, and ideally we want to help you discover your personal brand story and craft your elevator pitch. Yeah, so I'd like for you guys to take a few minutes and 5 minutes to try and answer the following questions. And you can put this in the comment section, and then we can read them through some of the top comments. So what are your 3 biggest strengths at this moment? And what are your biggest passions? And, when I say passion is something, a topic or a subject or a skill that you're really interested in pursuing or acquiring. And bullet number 3 is what are your 3 biggest career goals and your unique value proposition right now at this moment? What do you think is your unique value proposition that if someone pulled you to the side and asked you, you'd be able to come up with it off of the top of your head? Pausing there again, and Kechi, please, you can read through some of the comments that we're getting before we go into the next session.
Cool. So as I'm going through it, please put it in the comments. We want to see it. And if for the people that joined us since day one, we did a UVP, that's your unique value proposition challenge. So this should be like super easy for you to do. Like you already have it. You can even just go and copy it from where you put it on Slack and then put it here, right? Because it's such an amazing exercise. It's very introspective. So as you're putting that and you're putting the response to this, I'll take a few of the questions that were shared. One is from Adana. She says, if the hiring manager asks, how was the metrics measured? That's those metrics in the CV. What should be the response for people who are not in marketing or sales role?
Yeah, so basically, when you're in a position where you're employed with a company, I'm assuming a lot of you are having one-on-ones with your direct managers. And during those one-on-ones, there are things that you should be covering. Things like, the tasks that you've been doing. How are they contributing towards a major objective in the company? So say you're in an admin position, or you're a secretary or a personal assistant. You've been given, some data entry work. can you track how long it took you to complete that the data entry, and which team, what was that data going to support, and can you get information from that other team, like how did it help them towards their own objective? So it's usually tied to something within the organization. An organization will just ask you to be doing stuff without an end goal in mind. It's going towards the business in one way or another. So you should be able to track these things in your one-on-ones with your managers, and you do this by tracking like the time it took you to complete that task, and how it played into the bigger picture within your department, or within your whole organization, depending on how big the company is that you're working for.
Yes,
And you
yes,
can
definitely.
always
And
track this using Excel. Sorry.
yes. No, that's perfect. And also, I I think everyone has KPIs, right? You have a KPI
Mm-hmm.
that you're working with, so you could also look at that. But when you're able to be data driven in what you do, I think it signals to employers that this is someone that is doing great work, that is actually being data driven, like being able to just know what your numbers are. It shows that you're
Yeah.
data driven. It's always a good sign, right? So that's something that you need to think deeply on. Another question here is from Martin. He says, when one has diverse job experience recorded in his or her resume or LinkedIn, don't you think the hiring manager won't see the application as not being focused? And I think this is an interesting thing because we see a lot of that. You see a person that has done finance, done product, done this, it's like just different
Mm-hmm.
across in bits and pieces. So, what when a hiring manager sees that, what is their own perception of such a candidate?
It's actually, it all boils down to how you are presenting these experiences to your hiring manager. How are you tying them together? How did you get from this opportunity, from this type of role to this type of role, to this one, and how do they all tie into each other? And something I've seen from the South African markets that they really do well is in their CVs, and leaving a first impression where they have all the information on the CV for you to make your decision well informed about whether you'd like to progress them or otherwise. Is in every position they would leave behind. You see how you put in, I was a product manager between 2017 to 2020. Before they go to the next one, they will put in reason for leaving that company, or reason for coming into that role. And this is where you can try and present, you left this for career growth, and try and put it as, you're trying to shorten your resume. So you try and put in a small summary that explains your reason for that move. And from a first perspective, this is usually like the best way to let the hiring manager know why the transitions were happening. And then from there, if you have presented your skill set very well in your resume, then you definitely get the opportunity to even expound further on those movements during an interview. I hope this is helpful.
Yeah, reason for leaving is quite interesting. Like that is not something you see every day, but that's really
Yeah.
cool. Let's
And especially
see.
when you've had, sorry, Nkechi, to
Yeah,
interrupt
yeah,
you.
go ahead,
Um,
please. No, I'm the one interrupting. Go ahead.
this also factors in when when you've been transitioning careers quite quickly. As we know, the job market right now is not steady. There's a lot of layoffs happening across the world, and there's always this fear that and it is a founded fear, because a lot of hiring managers would look at the length of time you've been in certain positions, because for like sales roles, they wouldn't be able to, a really good company won't be able to hire you without at least 2 years or 1.5 years of experience from your previous employer, because this is how long the sales cycles will take to prove yourself in that position. So someone who's been in a sales role for less than 6 months, or less than a year, they wouldn't cut it being able to move to transition to another organization because they've not been able to prove themselves in their current organization. So if it was, a layoff or a career break due to family reasons, this is a very important strategy that you could use to make sure that you're not being sidelined from the first look, and then you are able to explain further why the short breaks took place.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I think we would definitely do like a resume session because there's so many questions, and from your work and all, like you're reviewing candidates, you've reviewed thousands of candidates. You've seen so many things. You've seen what people have
Mhm.
done right. You've seen what caught your attention. You've seen the most outstanding. You've seen, so that would be an
Yeah.
amazing insight. So we have some people sharing their strengths. They're coming in already. I think that's amazing. So just keep responding. I don't think we'll take each one of
Okay.
them, but just know that this is a very introspective exercise that even for you, just going through it. So even for what you've written,
Uh-huh.
I hope you have it copied somewhere so that you can tweak it and even like just think more about it. But
Yeah.
amazing responses. Response from Olagoke, Cornelius, amazing, Desem, Friday. This is just really amazing responses that are coming in. They're doing the exercise, and that's really impressive.
Great. Keep them coming. So we'll go to the next slide as we look at that. So I wanted to share a few examples of people who have done some really great work on personal branding. And we're going to share these links later on. Some of you might have come across some of these posts. But if you search for Marta Bertol, she actually went viral earlier this year. And her story was she had been laid off from her previous company as a product marketing manager. And what happened is she was trying to apply for other opportunities, but then she kept getting rejected over and over again because, again, the market is very competitive right now. If you think you are the best skilled person, trust me, there's 10 more like you out there who are even, maybe they have like something that gives them a slight edge over you. So what Marta decided to do was creates a video content, and basically it was a video of her CV but in person. And given that she's in a creative sector, the way she positioned herself or the way she made the content was very unique. It showcased all the top skills that otherwise wouldn't have come off strongly from her CV. And with this, she put herself out there, and she got a lot of offers from people from various companies on LinkedIn. And right now, she's gainfully employed in another PMM role. And having looked at her LinkedIn profile recently, I saw that she's progressed quite far, given how her career was earlier this year. She was out of a job for a few months, wasn't getting any invitations for interviews. So this was a big step. And the other profile that I'd like us to cover is Mariana. Mariana she was also laid off from LinkedIn, and she also used the video format to showcase her skills. And she was able to get an interview and an offer within the same day for a role at Google. So I'm going to share these links later on, and you can see some examples of how people have tried to showcase the edge in their skills and put themselves out there, and it was successful for them. And I also hope we can practice this in your own free time. So moving over to action plan and how we are going to start this, getting hands-on with this personal branding after this session. So this is also, again, a summary of what we've already discussed. First, you need to define your career goals. This is going to be your roadmap or your direction, your compass moving forward. And then you need to identify your core strengths, unique skills. You need to articulate your value in a concise statement. And again, this is also borrowed from what has already been done and the profiles that I've just shown you in the previous slide. This is something that they were able to do to get down on points. And we can see the results. They're all gainfully employed in their dream jobs, in their dream companies. You also need to identify the target industries or companies, and you need to be very particular about this. You really need to decide which type of company you want to work with. And again, the values again tie into this stage. And then you also need to create the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, or it could also be, 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5-year plan or 10-year plan as a roadmap. And this will be your guiding compass throughout your career. And finally, you need to seek feedback and iterate. You can seek this from, the professionals within that industry, people you're familiar with, your friends, relatives, etc. Whoever is a role model in that space that you're looking up to, that could give you advice, that's the person you need to reach out to. Or if you have mentors. So we've come to the end of the session. I'm just going to pause here. I'm seeing a lot of comments are coming through. So Keshi, over to you. We can cover this before we wrap up.
Awesome. This has been so insightful. Like, I have learned so much. I've been taking notes. And I think you just said something towards the end. You said that these people, they put themselves out there. And I think sometimes that's just the thing. Like, people are scared to put themselves out there. They're afraid. They're like, what would people say? But in the end, you have to. I mean, these people, they took a chance. They did a video, put it out there. It isn't easy. It takes work. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, it super takes a lot of work. Everyone that you see in any field that you admire, just know that that's someone that has put a lot of work and has been willing to just put themselves out there. So
Yeah.
let's see, just more people sharing their strengths and UVP, really amazing. I think you guys should head up to Slack and share that there as well. I've shared the link, so if you're not on Slack, please just use that link and then head off there. This has been really insightful. If there are any more questions, please feel free to share and put it in the comments. I like that this is just even guiding us on areas that we need to cover in the future. But thank you so much, Sheila. This has been amazing. Thank you for taking out the time and sharing your insights and your learnings with us. I have learned a lot, a whole lot, and I'm grateful. Just a few things I want to say. I've shared the link on Slack, so get on Slack. I just want to do a quick reminder. We have a challenge that is currently running for week 2, and the challenge is focused on networking. And just crazy, a lot of people are trying to dodge the challenge, right? Networking is another thing that requires you to put yourself out there. You need to do this challenge, like you absolutely need to do it. So please ensure you complete the challenge before tomorrow, which is the deadline. Then another thing I want to say is this has been insightful for me, and I'm sure it has for you, especially for people that have been since we started this session. So share your learnings from this session on LinkedIn and tag at parity. And for the really cool ones that we see, we're going to help you amplify it and share it from our handle. So share, let us know what you've learned in this session, insight that you've learned, important tips that you've learned, even just shout out, share it on LinkedIn, tag at parity, and would help amplify it. And that would also give you some visibility, right? So please do this. I think it will be very useful for you as well. Thank you, everyone, for just taking out the time and being here with us and spending your evening with us. I'm truly grateful. Thank you for the comments that have come in and the interaction. Again, thank you, Sheila. This has been really amazing. Awesome. You can even put your thanks in the comments. Thanks, Sheila. Put it in the comments. Let her know that you've had an amazing time. Put it in the comments. Give her flowers and claps because I think she's done absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone. And if any questions, feel free to share it. If nothing else, we would see you on Slack. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Bye-bye.